Hey, welcome back, PowerHouse listeners and viewers and all. Um, Welcome to PowerHouse Fence Show, where we talk about all kinds of things related to, in and around, adjacent to the commercial fence business. Ain't that right, Dan?
That's right. That's what we do,
Right.
or what we try to do.
That's correct. So settle in, buckle up, put your plans out, put your hard hats on. Let's get to work.
What was that thing? Roll
That's
out your
right.
set of plans and let's get after it or something. Anyways, who's presenting this show? Who's our sponsors, Zach?
That's a good question.
Let's see.
First, we're presented by Memphis Fence Company, MFC Manufacturing, my personal favorite, Simpalo. And then there's a close second, Thornton Fence Consulting Group.
Yep. So we have a link in the description for all of the Thornton Fence Consulting Group events. So make sure you go check those out and go to one. They're good.
Summit coming up in Schenectady, New York, August 7th through the 8th. Linked in the description. I'll just get that out real quick.
Yeah.
That's Dan. I'm Zach. Host, other host. Here we are. We are live. Is that correct?
We're live. That's
and
right.
We're here.
901-878-4987 if you want to call in and ask any questions.
If you listened last week or week before, there's a couple of things I'll review for you. We have signed up with Sam Natello at .com to ramp up our online marketing, our search engine optimization, and all that stuff that goes along with that. Also, what else did we did something? Oh, we have unveiled. We've been privy to an unhinged package.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so that's what we've been listening to. We listened to the preview of Unhinged.
That's cool, and we got a secret little sneak peek, and that's it. It's just a secret sneak peek, so that's what you guys get.
Yeah, so we did
a little less than what we got.
We did post a video earlier this week that they where we actually played like a few seconds of it that I don't think we were supposed to do, but we did anyway. So you're welcome. If you want to go catch 30 seconds of it, then look at our video from earlier this week.
Content does exist. And thank you guys. As usual, thank you guys for joining us. Whoever is commenting, I see JC Gurry Signs is here already. Thanks, man. Thanks for joining in. And everybody who's listening, watching, all that. If you are listening, we are live. And you're welcome to call in 901-878-4987.
That's it. That's the number.
901-878-4987.
Scrolling right down here. So we're going to the West Coast Fence Show.
I'm stoked.
Yeah, September 5th through 7th.
In Reno, Nevada.
Yep.
And presumably booth 516, 518.
I really should do a better job and confirm that those are still our booth numbers. We'll be there. You'll be able to find us.
You can go to those booths.
Yeah.
They probably exist.
Yeah. If we're not there, just keep walking.
Through the 7th. Did you say that? September 5th through the 7th, we'll be in Reno, Nevada for the West Coast Fence Show. It's also accompanied by a golf tournament.
Yep. And we'll also be at the Thornton Fence Business Conference in December.
Yes.
We'll be there. And
someone of the PowerHouse and Memphis Fence Company crew. We're not quite sure yet, right?
Yeah. We haven't made all those choices, but we are going to be represented there. So come check it out. Last year was awesome. Really glad that I went. So going again this year.
I'm going to cruise through the old news real quick. You mind if I do it real quick, like Micro Machine?
What you got?
So we've been looking into a platform to build a curriculum to look at brew plants. We're going to unveil this later in the year, maybe fall or late winter, something like that. A course for reading blueprints. That's as far as we got with that.
Yep. We'll talk about that more later.
Now, for a segment I like to call, What Did Simpalo Do For You This Week? Which is not very creative, but you get the stinking point.
Yeah. You got anything? We don't rehearse this.
No, I don't. You know what? Well, what it didn't do was teach me what is required to build an assembly for chain link. There's one that exists, and then there's a spec. And now I have to try to match that up. I don't know anything about, I would not nothing, but I have successfully installed one singular chain link gate. I may have reattached or stretched some wire once or twice. I set a post.
Yeah.
So that's
nice.
That's the extent of my chain link experience.
So you set a post, hung a gate, and made a hookup?
Yep.
Yeah, cool.
Oh, it's called made a hookup. See, I didn't even know that's what I was doing. I was just stretching wire.
I mean, you're on the way, man.
Cool. So I'm working on bidding my first chain link job.
Nice.
And I don't know if you want me to tell you this in live, but I'm doing it and I don't know anything.
Perfect. That's how we
And
do it around here, man.
and
We just figure it out as we go.
I'm about crazy enough to just throw some numbers at it without asking.
Oh, no. That's a joke. We're not playing that game.
Well, and by throw them at, I mean present them to you.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by that.
Now that will happen. People will come in my office and be like, "Hey, check this job out. I was thinking we used $12,643. What do you think?" I don't know
if anybody is familiar with the show SpongeBob, but my kids, they have watched, and I have watched it by being their father, all the SpongeBob all the time, and the character that I compare Dan to is Mr. Krabs, because that's you're a little bit more, I dare say, loving, but. It used to be all about the money. Dan was just all about the money. Mr. Krabs, me money. And so I wouldn't mess around with Mr. Krabs' money. Just saying. I know better than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it's
what's
a part
next?
of it, man. You got to have the money to pay the bills.
Yeah. So Simpalo, what's it doing? I'm measuring fence lines. It did produce a takeoff. If, in fact, the spec matches the pre-built components that are in Simpalo, then I effectively made a chain link takeoff knowing little to nothing about chain link.
Yeah. That's the cool thing.
So, and you have put some prices in there for materials. So now the material price is there, assuming the specs match, which I'll go back through. But, I could issue this to probably one of my kids and they could just draw a line and be like, this is how much the materials cost.
Did you see Webb in there drawing fence lines the other day?
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. So my 6-year-old son is Webb, and we took a picture of him the other day because I just walked in the office next to me and he was on someone's computer just drawing in Simpalo. And I was like, oh, that's cool,
kiddo.
Yeah.
Go for it.
So
moving on now for tool time with Dan, the tool man, Turbyville.
We're kind of beating a dead cat with this one.
Speaking of cat, I've got a new hat.
Yeah. And so we did buy the Cat 265 track skid steer, compact track loader, whatever you want to call it.
Oh, it's so cool.
It is super
nice.
Looks
cool. I mean, the fittings are hexagonal, which that alone, just little like details, I'm kind of artsy. And so little details like that make a thing for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
cool. Also the engineering behind the way the attachments attach, super cool. Now I am Kenny.
Oh yeah, their attachment mechanism where it's just like one bar that rotates.
Right.
Yeah,
and all that's like internal and hidden. It looks a lot safer and just very cool to look at. You know, the engineering in that's super cool.
Look, a lot less moving parts and stuff like that as compared to other ones that I've seen.
So we did make some videos of us demoing that. We had a race. I won't tell you who won, me. And so we did some stuff. There'll be some cool content coming around where we're doing side-by-side comparison with a Bobcat and a Cat skid steer.
Yeah,
and kind of putting them through what our test is. We drilled a hole and lifted some sand and some pallets of concrete and pallets of Portland,
Yeah. So I think we kind of went like our progression on Tool Time was we talked about how we run Bobcat equipment. And then 2 weeks later, we were like, oh, we're demoing this Cat. And now here we are. We bought a Cat and Zach has on a Cat hat. I was pretty excited about the hat because it actually fits my head. It's very rare that a hat will fit my head. And as it turns out, that one does. So that's pretty cool. But anyways, that's what we have for that. Be on the lookout for some more videos.
I think that's tidied up the intro segment. I'm pretty excited to introduce not just one guest, but tonight we have 2 guests for you.
Yeah.
So welcome to the stage, Robert and Michael Whittaker.
Oh, man. That was fun.
How y'all doing? Welcome to the show.
Good. Hey, am I still glowing from being abducted by the green aliens?
A bit. Good. A bit, but I think it'll wear off here in a little while.
There you go.
Well, thanks for being on here, man.
Oh, man, thanks for having us both. This is the first time both me and Michael, we're twin brothers, are on a podcast together.
Wait,
pretty
so
cool.
Y'all actually are twins?
Yeah, we're We don't look at it as much anymore, but we're identical twins, man.
Oh,
That's
nice.
cool.
Someone made some comment the other day and like said the twins or something, and I was like, wait a minute, are they really twins? Because so I met with Michael, I guess a couple times, and have been talking a little bit with him, and immediately I was like, wow, he looks like Robert.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's pretty crazy.
So technically, I look like him because he was born 10 minutes early. They fixed a few things, got it right, and sent me out.
Right.
Yeah.
No. Make another one quick. Make another one quick.
Yeah, that's not how I remember it, but he's my baby bro for sure.
Yeah.
So we were on Move That Bus, the Ty Pennington show. What was the show, Mike?
Extreme Home Makeover?
Yeah, and it's all staged, a spoiler alert. So you would learn all these lines, and this, me and Michael in blue shirts, white hard hats, sunglasses, they were like, hey, we need you on. And Michael would be there in front of the camera, not know any lines. And so we were the worst part of their show because they were always teaching the wrong twin what to do. They never, Ty and Justin Bieber and all of them couldn't figure out who was who. So
Nice.
We're twins and say twin time. You get twin time today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
That's
Or,
awesome.
Nice.
or Double Trouble. One or the other.
Yeah. Yeah.
This episode is called Double Trouble with Robert and Michael Whittaker.
So you were on Extreme Home Makeover?
Yeah, we
Actually,
were in
last
Wellman, Texas.
That's cool. So I bet that was, how long did it take? Like was it a week or was it?
Yeah. Yeah. And Ty Pennington was there to move that bus. So as soon as it started, we did all the takes. Move that bus. And the house is the same, and then he came back for the party. And the party was crazy, probably not worth the show. That'd be but he couldn't be on set because there was too much liability.
Oh,
So then
wow.
they would have like Justin Bieber would come and be like, hey, I need to move this plant. And we'd help him move this plant. And then he would be like, and so anyways, Julia Roberts was there. The Blindside lady, just the Thule, Leanne Thule was there. So it was cool. It was interesting. That was like, what, Michael, 15 years ago? So
2011.
Yeah, so that was back in the day when like people were walking around with pop cards because they were all from California. They're like, I know we're in Texas, but this is okay because I'm, need it.
Right.
So it was interesting, man. It was really interesting. But the show was really neat because ultimately what it was trying to do is promote not texting and driving. Texting became really popular, around that time. And the poor girl, the show was about, killed herself by texting and driving. And the traction that they got from the show put them in every school across the United States. So it's pretty neat. So,
wow.
Anyways, so that's the short of it. So we're movie stars.
Nice.
Basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much.
We're in the presence of stars here.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's cool.
The first movie stars we've ever had on the show, the first twins, the first time we've ever had two guests at once, I believe.
Yeah, there's a lot of firsts happening.
This is crazy.
Afternoon.
This is crazy.
So you guys, we didn't even introduce the businesses you work for. There's two of you, there's two businesses. I don't know how all that works together, but so you guys are Magnolia Fence and Patio as well as Purple Coaching.
Yeah, exactly. And previous was Mean Green, and Michael could kind of catch everybody up on that. So I'm owner of Magnolia Fence and Patio and Purple Coaching, and Michael and I have been coaching across the United States. Businesses scale and work on leadership and everything else. So that's where we're pouring in a ton of our time right now with the Purple Coaching. Magnolia Fence, it's been fun getting to know you, Dan, even more. We're really trying to dive into the commercial world. The podcast has been a huge motivation to do so, and not a plug, but it's too hard not to bring it up. São Paulo gives us a lot more confidence. So Michael's been driving the charge on trying to teach us how the heck to use all this software and not be scared of all of it.
Right.
It can be intimidating. I'm kind of similar to you, Zach. Like, I'll just throw a number at it. But the problem is that's my money I'm throwing at it. So,
Right.
anyways,
That's right.
Yeah. So Yeah, Michael can kind of catch up where he is at right now because it's been an interesting, fun ride.
Well, hold on.
Oh,
We can't skip the Italian of the week.
oh,
We just breezed right past that. So now this is what's going to happen is we're going to ask Ilaria, how do you say some word in Italian? And then Zach's going to do pretty decent. I'm going to do terrible. And then we'll see how you two do. So you ready? You want to cue it up?
You just did. Here she comes.
All right.
The lovely Ilaria Pisoni with Italian word of the week.
So this week's Italian word is purple.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Viola.
What?
Viola.
Viola?
Yeah.
Like the instrument?
Yes.
Viola.
All right, you're up.
Viola.
Wow.
Yeah.
Viola.
Yes.
Yeah.
Viola.
Yep. See, everyone did great. A good job.
That's
It's
good.
a pretty
Easy
familiar. It's a pretty familiar word. If you think of it like the instrument, I mean, it's easy.
Yeah, I agree. That was a pretty easy one. So,
So we all learned Italian.
We did.
Nice. Speaking of purple and it being the Italian word, could you give us a little bit of insight as to why you chose purple for the name of your business?
For sure. So Magnolia's colors are purple. We're here in Fort Worth, so TCU purple. It's a really pretty reasonably neutral color, but I had some really cool names like Pivot Coaching and Consulting, or like Execution Coaching. Like just things that were effective. And someone's like, Robert, you're the purple guy, and I was like, you know what? Let's just not steer away.
Right.
Everybody knows. And if you Google what purple means, it is everything we are either aspiring or what we are, from freedom and wealth and independence to, positive power. Like it is royalty. It is everything at the end of the day that sums up what we're always wanting in life and other things too. But so it couldn't have been even more perfect than just purple.
Cool.
And so that's how we landed on purple. And it is really nerve-wracking when you know what you're doing to come up with a business name. Because now you're worried about SEO and you're worried about is the domain available and
Right.
the logo and embroidery. That's something else. Like, oh my gosh, like how many stitches is that?
Yeah.
So the second name is always the hardest, right? So purple it is.
Cool. And I think we just kind of deferred to you, Michael, to give us a little bit of insight on what you've been doing. I don't want to leave you hanging over there.
No, my brother loves microphones. So, no, so yeah, 13 months ago, I sold my landscape company, which Robert and I built together. We parted ways. I took the landscape division. He took the Magnolia division. And I decided it was time for me to exit. It was time for me to kind of pursue some other things. So went up for sale, found some buyers, had a large 7-figure exit, and was kind of lost after that. It was kind of an interesting period in my time. And luckily, Robert invited me to Fence Tech. And it was an amazing experience. And I was coaching some guys on the side, and we brought them over to Purple. And so currently I'm employed through Purple. I've bought a RV park, bar, and restaurant down on the Texas coast that also kind of keeps me in the mix. But spending majority of my time over at Purple and really enjoying it.
Nice. That's pretty
Cool, man.
cool.
Yeah.
So an RV park, bar, and restaurant, right?
And storage and a propane filling station. If we could fit more on the acreage, we would. So, but yeah, it's been fun. It's actually been one of my favorite investments I've ever made. I don't know how it is in the rest of the United States, but on the Texas coast, it's been really great. It's been fun. Plus my boat's down there. So
There you go.
Michael's a captain. We were talking to Captain Michael.
Well, technically captain is a nickname.
Captain?
I'm actually an officer for the Coast Guard with a 25-ton master's license, which classifies me as a captain. Yes.
Which allows him to take people for SpaceX and all this other cool stuff.
That's amazing. We've now updated your title to accurately reflect your
Yeah.
accomplishments there.
Yeah, my other nickname's Change Order. So yeah.
Yeah, we won't talk about that.
But yeah, no. So yeah, when you get bored and you get idle hands, you start going to get licenses, and you end up with RV parks. And you end up wearing only purple, and you start showing up. And it's been a minute since I had to get behind a desk, but Robert's slowly building me one. I'm more of a mobile guy, so but that's what I've been up to.
Cool.
Well, that's
Good
pretty
deal, man.
exciting.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have a lot of stuff going on. That's cool, man. That's cool. So can we kind of like go back to the beginning? Kind of tell the story of I guess where you started and how you got here? Both of you.
Yeah. So we'll kind of ping pong back and forth, Michael. We definitely remember it differently.
If we do remember it.
Yeah. So
Right.
Michael went to TCU. I went to Texas Tech. Fast forward, he owned Mean Green Lawn and Landscape, sold my landscaping company, moved down here. I wanted to be on an airplane and working out of a suitcase my whole life. Like, that's what I aspired to be. So I was like, hey, I'll just run irrigation for you until I find the skyscraper, which is everything everybody would ever say you should not ever do. But I've never worked for anybody. So I was like, let's try it out. Well, a couple of months later, me and Michael enjoyed working together so much. We partnered at Mean Green, and we quickly branched out and had Magnolia Fence and Mean Green. We thought, hey, we should have two businesses, so if we ever sell one, we have another one.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is we're identical twins, so we'd go into the bank or talk to insurance. People got so overly confused who was doing what that we started realizing that having two businesses just made it even more complicated. We should have just had the same business card, same business, everything else. And then the worst part about it, and I'll let Michael pick it up from here, is that every client also thought we were the same person. I delivered service was exactly the way Michael should, or else they were upset, or vice versa. And when you break down landscaping or mowing, he just has to get it right most of the time, because we'll be back next week. We cut it too short, it'll grow. So Magnolia Fence or fencing, you build a fence, it's one time your white glove service, right? And so people were like, Michael's not providing the service, or vice versa. And I put a lot of pressure on the relationship to be excellent, when in reality, landscaping doesn't have to be excellent. It's never going to be totally perfect, because it's always going to continue to grow. And so we didn't manage our relationship. So we grew further and further away, but we were still partners. And Michael, you can kind of pick it up from there, because it got pretty blurry pretty quick.
Yeah, that's like a really.
Yeah, that's a tough place to drop him off.
Right.
I'll give you a little moment to segue there.
No, that was just like a quick view. So actually, we did enjoy working together. Robert was living in my spare bedroom, and I needed him to have a job. So his ultimatum was to be my partner and get out of my house, because I was recently married and he was recently divorced. And so I came back from my honeymoon, and he had started 3 more crews from 2. And he was all gas, no brakes. And it was a lot of fun. But yeah, we definitely, the landscape world and the fence world have some similarities, but they have some differences. I was really heavily driven on commercial, and I started to become more boutique towards the end of my career. And so our focuses were different. So separating the companies officially made more sense, just based off of where our vision of where we were going.
Yeah.
Well, and speaking of that, we didn't really have any written out goals, KPIs, vision, mission, whatever else. And so it was kind of hard to manage what we didn't even know. And so kind of some of the driving factor behind Purple is we don't want anybody to have to go through that without at least trying it the right way first. Like, let's try some of the proven processes that people have proven over the last 50 years. And then from there, if it gets messy, then maybe it wasn't a good fit. So, so how we reconnected so closely and found that it was time to work together was, like Michael said, Fence Tech. We had a really good time and just enjoyed ourselves, realized that this is, his home. construction, commercial, residential, whatever it is, making people happy and taking good care of them aligns with him and aligns with me. And so here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So what?
It's very natural going back because there was no agenda when I went to Fence Tech, and so it just the puzzles went into place.
So was this Fence Tech in Nashville or Oklahoma City or before that?
No, Fence Tech in Nashville, man. When you went live and hosted that heck of a party and everything else, yeah, man.
Okay, all right. Well, I wasn't sure which one it was, so I was just trying to kind of like get a time frame there.
Yeah, we've been hard at work, man. We've been hard at work, and thankfully, you know, Purple Coaching, we've had a lot of interest, and Michael and I can complement each other or connect with people. And so, being twins, it's weird. And my mom's always said it, or our mom, we're on the same wavelength. So we just picked up right where we left off, and we're just following each other's footsteps, as well as respecting each other differently. So it's been fun, man.
Yeah, that's cool. So I'd like to talk about Magnolia for a minute, if that's cool.
Yeah.
And so, man, I went on the website. I try to do, you know, some little bit of research and homework and things before we go on here. And I mean, everybody's seen Purple Coaching and seen Magnolia and seen you guys and everything. And I was like, well, let me just look and see, like, what all are they doing? What do they have going on down there? And so I know Magnolia is like thrown in this bucket of being a fence company, but I'm not sure that that's even fair based on looking at the website. It's almost like you're doing like a whole, I don't know, outdoor backyard, like conversion improvement. Like, I mean, you've got a lot of stuff going on there at Magnolia. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, I just convinced John Nimbus that I'm a roofer so that we could put me in because, you know, the fencers are redheaded stepchilds over there. I was like, look, I do roofing. Treat me like a roofer.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've scaled that. You know, when you're doing this, it's crazy. We're 39 years old. Michael's 39 in 10 minutes. But thank you. That's like a dad joke, right?
Yeah.
So we've been doing this 20 years. So we've been scaling this. And so what I'd like to think is done is done, but get it pretty close to perfect and add continued services. So I hold my irrigation license. When me and Michael were at landscaping together, he had his pesticide license and he got his irrigation license. We've expanded our services. And when you get into what Cannon calls flat fence, that's a cool story. And I'll back up and say, you really have to be able to offer a lot more than just one. You can't just do concrete without touching the irrigation or changing the grade or whatever else. So yeah, we're completely changing backyards or front yards, but we've pretty much what drove that was it was easier to stay in one backyard than to go find a lot of backyards. And obviously, if you're not chasing commercial work, how do you find those anchor projects that like maybe Matt would talk about or whatever else? And the anchor projects are our big patio reconstruction projects. So we about 50% of our revenue, about $5 million of revenue is flat fence. And then 50% of our revenue is pretty much residential fencing. And hopefully through some of the leadership of Michael and all the goal setting and then tools like Simpalo, we'll be able to grow our commercial and then we'll have a nice blend of all three.
Yeah, that's cool. So I'd like to read a list of things that I just kind of ran across on the website, right? So fence installation and staining, obviously. Patio, outdoor kitchen, stone, concrete. I think you said rock, like concrete and rock maybe. Pergolas, arbors, landscaping, irrigation. And something that was super cool was I saw a 3D rendering of a patio, and it was like a video of going through this whole outdoor space, but it was all just a 3D rendering of it. And so, anyways, good job on all that. It's super cool. So what was that quote I said earlier? The one I heard on the Founders podcast. It was like,
keep the main thing the main thing.
Yep. So keep the main thing the main thing. So at what point did you decide like that wasn't for y'all? Like there is no main thing, right? I guess maybe the whole outside is the main thing.
So I've been thinking about this because, so when you start a business, you need to say yes to everything to bring in cash flow and everything else to some capacity. Take that with a grain of salt. And then you need to niche down, whether it be niching down your clients or niching down your product offerings, and become as close to an expert as possible. And of course, depending if you want to be a low-cost leader, you don't have to be an expert in anything. But we niched down and we got really good at fence. And what I mean by good at fence, because this is the biggest debate across the United States. I'm not saying we build fence better than somebody across the United States. What we're saying is we build better fences through a perfect process. Our process is flawless. We don't make mistakes anymore. And I heard this the quote, not do it until you get it right, do it until you can't get it wrong. Yeah. Right. And so that's when we started re-expanding our services. And one of the driving factors of expanding our service offerings was that we knew we had the right who's. Everyone said, well, I don't have a spot for this person, but they're the right person. Well, great. That's your who. Let them expand. And so I see what you're doing there. Yeah, it's perfect. Right in the camera. Perfect. Yeah. And so we have the right who's. So when we knew it was time to ramp up our patio division was when Dakota came on. You guys have met Dakota. And Dakota has a construction background. I wouldn't say he'd be bored to tears with fencing, but especially in residential, it could be monotonous at times. Some people like that repetitive motion. Dakota likes a different view every single day. And so he has really launched well on our patio. And so he's kind of built it out on his own. I mean, of course, with, leadership and everything else, making sure shared vision. But that's when we knew we could ramp up as the vision. So about 3.5, 4 years ago is really when we said we're going all in fence. And so that's kind of the story of it. But like I said, in talking about flat fence, you can't do just some and not all. Right. Like you really need to quickly become an expert. And if you are only going to do some, be sure you only do a few things because you can get squirrely quick.
Yeah. Yeah. So as I was looking through this website, I look for inspiration and things like that everywhere, right? And so I was thinking about myself and I thought, man, there's no way that I could confidently walk in someone's backyard and say, oh, you want to like completely change this entire space and add a new patio on the back of your house and put an outdoor kitchen. Okay, let's have a conversation about that. Right. I mean, I would have to take 4 people with me and like all of us could maybe come up with like an expert level of being able to talk about that. And so like that is a whole crazy thing, just to kind of be able to stay on top of all the different options of everything.
So Robert, let me take this one. So actually one of the big reasons why Robert and I expanded our services was other people kept messing things up. And then the customer would always be like, y'all want to do this? And Robert and I are kind of outlaws. And we're like, yeah, we'll do it. Mm-hmm. So there was a lot of mistakes prior to doing it, but there is a huge market for somebody that's willing to take that full turnkey experience with the customer. It's a long journey, having that relationship with somebody for months versus a week, but it could be the same for commercial. You look at a set of plans and I mean, we've got guys that are wonderful estimators for large outdoor experience projects. And they look at a set of plans and their mind almost explodes, and so it's just kind of where you've sharpened your tool, so to speak. But we truly, a lot of it got into it because other trades messed up.
Sure.
Other guys chose to be the low cost leader. And then we're like, well, maybe we should do this. Or somebody would frustrate us and we'd be like, we have to learn this so we don't have to hire this out ever. Yeah. And so, but I'm a designer at heart, so I love walking into somebody's space, whether it be commercial or residential, being like, let's leave Fort Worth a little bit better today.
Yeah, that's cool. So it's funny you mentioned like the commercial stuff because that's something we've talked about this year, is trying to get into doing more than just fence, like on commercial projects, right? And so kind of one of the examples I've used is maybe we have a customer calls us and like, by way of talking to them and everything, we figure out they're repaving the parking lot and then they're also putting in lighting in their parking lot and they're putting a fence around it, right? So they're having problems. People are coming in there stealing cars or whatever. I mean, why can't we bring all of that? Right? Why can't we bring the asphalt paving and bring in the new curbs and the electric for the lights and put in the lights and everything and just kind of be that one-stop shop turnkey kind of option? And so I think it's cool. I mean, I really like it. And like I said, a similar concept we've kind of talked about here.
And so on Purple Tuesdays from 2 to 3, we have a sales meeting, and we have a couple commercial fence guys in there. And we're right now on a series of talking about outdoor living or flat fence, right? And I said, hey, commercial guys, don't get bored, because every plan you look at has a park bench or has a gazebo, and they want bids on those too.
Right.
And so I think it's important to look at all those things. Now, here's the one thing that I would really recommend for all the listeners is making sure that you're not anti-subcontractor, because when you do expand your services, you have to accept that there's going to be some subcontract work. There's no way that you can be a unmatched expert in the industry with all in-house employees, because there's so much to train and so much, pivoting and stuff like that. We have the best framer that I've ever met. But it's unrealistic to keep him and his crew busy every single day, day in, day out. So when you get into those flat fence experiences, you have to be willing to consider subcontractors.
And really, they're partners. I mean, subcontractors, sure, that's the name that we all call them, but we've hunted down our partners, and we have a very strict box, to operate in, because like you said, the lighting or the paving and all that, sometimes we take that stuff because we want entire control of the project, so we can eventually put up the fence or do the landscape or do the masonry or whatever it is. I can't tell you how many park lights I've done just so I can get the dang park done.
Yeah.
The lighting guy never wanted to show up, and I was like, I can trench.
Right.
We dig every day. Y'all dig every day. It's
Right.
not that hard.
Yeah, for sure. And so the subcontractor thing, like, that's how we would do that, right? I'm not going to go out and like hire a crew of people that can do asphalt and buy the equipment and all of that stuff. I'm just going to find someone to partner with. And then, we would go into the jobs with their numbers, and then we just provide it as a turnkey solution for everything.
Yeah.
And so we run subcontractors now. We kind of do like a combination. We have in-house crews, and then we also have subcontract crews, and we're pretty selective about the people that will subcontract to, right? Of course, we have a list of requirements for them to be like a bona fide company with insurance and all of that. But also, I mean, I want to see, I want like a resume, right? Or I want to know the person and know that they're the type of, they have the character that would stand behind their job and deliver what I expect to be delivered on a job site.
Sure.
I mean, I'm pretty meticulous. Zach's probably experienced that some whenever he was had his days in the ornamental shop and doing installations, and even maybe today. But I
don't mind, man. I'm pretty meticulous too. So
Yeah.
I think it works,
Yeah.
I think also, as far as subcontractors are concerned, we're like, look at that guy's truck, is that what we want it to look like? Do we want him to be riding a dual axle trailer with only 2 tires on the front axle, and the rear axle is like ratchet strapped to the bottom of the trailer, which sometimes people in that setup do really awesome work. But again, I think the image is a big thing. Branding is big for us, maintaining the brand, to the extent that I don't even wear a color off brand now, in the past few months or the past year that I work here, I accidentally did actually. So I went to a pre-bid meeting. The hat was navy. So it's like, okay, it's navy, and I got Memphis Fence logo. I don't know if it was this shirt or that shirt, but, and someone was like, hey, I think I met you on another job. And it was another company hat, not even a fence company, but she thought she recognized me from a job site working for that company, a fire safety company. So and I was just like, how did you even pick this tiny logo out of, and so, but it was definitely like a dude, maintain the brand, right? That was like the lesson in that one. But yeah, as far as the subcontractors, we're pretty choosy about that, and so I've been trying to increase our pool just a little bit, and shopping, and like, what can I see, like how many jobs can I see of this style of fence? Again, though, you guys mentioned like the expansion part. There's been one subcontractor I've been relatively unhappy with, not the work, but just the lead time, specifically lead time on quoting.
Mhm.
And that's been an area of conversation where we're like, should we get back into talking about doing this in house again, you know? So
yeah, that guy is the bad thing about him. So it's kind of like a catch-22 thing, right? And not to go down this whole subject, but we'll just kind of talk about it a minute. So he does a really awesome on like the installation part. And if there's a problem during or after the install, like he's pretty well Johnny on the spot and will come through and help you out in a bind. But on the beginning, when you need a quote on something and it takes a week and you've got to ask them 3 times, like, hey, are you going to bid this thing? And you just constantly have to do that. That's what I think really is the biggest frustration we have. And so, I mean, it really is like the level of service you provide, you know, it has to be a complete end-to-end service, not just like a part of it is really good. So
I agree. You know, talking about end-to-end service and stuff like that, somebody asked me the other day, how did I get off the tool bag? That was the exact words. I said, I started providing it great service. And I'm totally meticulous as well, but you don't have to be perfect in everything you do as long as you're perfect in the entire experience.
Right.
And so speaking of subcontractors and stuff, being able to make sure, I love what you said, is if they can carry themselves well, then they're going to do just fine on the job. And so we were talking about Billy, our framer. Everyone loves Billy, all of our clients. And it makes our job so much easier when things don't go exactly the way that we plan. Because those 3D models that you've seen on our website, they're great, but they're not exact. Anyways, so those are all really good points. But boy, we are really itching to get into commercial. And speaking about, we don't know exactly how we want to niche down, but we do not want to go after everything.
Yeah,
we want to be experts at 1 or 2 products in commercial, and then continue to expand from there.
Yeah, so it's painful bidding everything, and it gets painful because you get beat a lot. And so trying to find that niche and trying to find that thing that you're good at, and you also can make the margins that you want, and, you know, just trying to like navigate through what is that type of job. I mean, that's a challenge. So what's your, I guess, what's the reason for really itching to get into commercial?
Robert, can I take that one?
Go for it.
Yeah, so I was in the commercial municipality world in landscape, and I believe Magnolia does luxury residential fence. When people say we do residential fence, I think that that's kind of somewhere in the middle. I would say Magnolia typically focuses on luxury. And in our market, our DFW market, there is no slowdown for commercial. And we have hundreds of cities in a 100-mile radius, strong municipalities. And so the desire to get into it is that the work for quality contractors and quality projects and quality buildings is there. And the luxury market is getting a little bit tighter in DFW, not only with fence, but with landscape, with masonry, with even just new construction. So I pointed out to Robert that there was a real serious need for what we're talking about, a reliable trade to come into the commercial sector to help get these bids to these clients or contractors quicker, be able to maybe handle more than just one service with fence, you know, maybe do the bollards or do the dumpster enclosures, the pergolas off of Starbucks, what you name it. And there's just a real open market and need for it to help get our construction in Dallas-Fort Worth caught back up. Because right now in Dallas-Fort Worth, there's about a 2-year lag time for construction because there's not enough quality trade bases currently right now in Dallas-Fort Worth. So that's kind of why I told Robert, you need to look at this, man. This is a real thing, and it's happening.
So what's this 2-year lag? What does that mean?
There's
now it's even longer because we've had so much dang rain. Everything's behind.
Yeah, there's just a lot of stuff happening here, man. You know, one time there was 25,000 new people moving to Dallas-Fort Worth per month.
So we're going to start Memphis Fence of Texas. It sounds
yeah.
like.
Come on. I mean,
you guys bid them, win them, and we'll install them. Deal.
Yeah.
Let me show you an example. Like, so, you know, we all know Elon Musk. Well, I've never seen a building. His production facility down here south of Austin is still being built. Walls are open while they're manufacturing cars, and there's hundreds of employees inside.
What?
Just 100%, yeah. I actually have a video. I drive by when I go by my RV park. The reality is that if you are a healthy trade, meaning you do quality work, you can get through the weeds of all the bad bids, all the people that I get it. I've bid hundreds of stuff and been like, that was a waste of time. But once you get on with these contractors down here in Dallas-Fort Worth, man, there's just a lot of meat on the bone you've got to chew through. And our Texas is big. So we're talking about large jobs. We're talking about jobs that take months versus little bangers. And so I would say the average fence, we have one of our clients who just completed a large fence around a Lamborghini of San Antonio. And, it's a 3,000 or 4,000 linear foot of fence. And that's a small project for commercial.
Yeah.
So that's why there's lag time. There's a lot of guys that are putting up fence, but there's a lot of guys that can't actually fulfill the entire contract in commercial or do the walls or do the concrete paving and financially support those projects to completion and carry the retainage and, yada, yada, yada.
There's just naturally a shortage of labor. One of the other reasons driving us to get in is we don't have shortage of labor, never had a problem with labor. We know the H-2B visa program pretty well, so we can navigate that. And then the last part on what it probably like the number one like internal reason why I'm chasing the idea of commercial is my vision is getting stretched longer. I'm starting to think 5, 10, 20 years out instead of 5, 10 weeks out.
Right.
Residential is really a pretty small time play. You sell it, install it, sell it, install it, and I've got some incredible staff members or team members, right? And so I'm okay bidding a job and not getting it for 6 or 8 months. I'm okay investing in them and not getting a return right away because I know that if we follow our system and process, and I hear that all the time where people are like, oh, we hadn't sold any commercial. I'm going to have to abandon this. I'm like, you just started. It's going to take 6 months to a year in my mind to invest in creating any kind of backlog of bids submitted because it takes time to get them. And we're the last guys in a lot of times. So like, how that is. Hey, we're not going to totally approve this just yet, just in case we need to modify the budget. And so I want some people in the organization to know that we're playing the long game here. We're not just putting. And so the opportunities are there and the who's are here, and we're wanting to marry those up together.
Yeah, that's cool. So it definitely is one of the struggles. I think one of the challenges is when you get some people, some estimators, and they start going to town submitting bids, and then a month later they're like, well, I haven't sold a single job. I'm like, just calm down. You just got to be patient. Just keep at it, and it'll come, right? You just got to be patient. So we're experiencing that a little bit right now, and so just be prepared, man.
So yeah. Dan, Robert got an email this morning, and my blend recommendation for them is go for the long game, the stuff in the pipeline, but look for the HOAs, the municipalities, the property management companies, and try to have a book of business of the most reoccurring business you can create for fence. So there'll be some short-term wins in the commercial market for capital improvement budgets, as well as starting to build that pipeline for that 6 to 12 month out with the smaller GCs, and then 12 to 18 months out for the larger ones, the projects that take longer for them to plan and bid, schools. I was going to say HEB, but you have no idea who HEB is probably.
No.
So Dan, one of the other things that encouraged me to jump in is we were talking about margins, and I don't want to go down a huge rabbit hole, but you encouraged me to charge what we're worth. That you don't have to be lowest bidder, and you might not get every one, but if you're constantly bidding, you'll get paid what you're worth when people either need you or maybe somebody doesn't jump into the bid or whatever else. And that was really encouraging too, because I don't want to just be low cost leader. I don't want to fight that battle, because I believe the team that I have in place deserve to be paid too. And so that was pretty awesome as well.
Do you guys in Memphis? Do you guys do a lot of municipality work or government style work out there?
We do a little bit of everything. And so we do anything from, the car lot down the street that wants a new fence or wants a repair. We do a lot of repair work. And then we also do new installs for municipalities, and just kind of anything and everything in between.
We're working on one now.
Yeah.
In the ornamental division, I guess they've been kind of spread out, but we have had some consistent development of like fire stations, police stations, and then the chain link division, they get a lot of repairs for like the city.
Yeah,
right. And that's a reoccurring stuff that I think could be there for fence that you guys don't naturally get. Which
I tried to hit them up to sign a contract for us to be their fence company. Basically, but they were like, that doesn't come up for, I guess you get to bid on that every 5 years. So I missed that window, but that's definitely, was like, hey, when do I, and who do I talk to? Kind of that job. The last time I was out at the City of Memphis project.
One of the great things down here in our Metroplex, at least, that's also attractive to Robert, when he was part of the landscape business, it was low ball, lowest bid. You could get it every time. They've moved to best value. Our municipalities and our government contracts down here have figured out a way to manipulate their contracts to where they can show the taxpayer it costs more to go to rebid with a bad contractor. So best value is a thing down here. So as long as you're in the middle and you've got good merits, you can get the job. You're probably actually going to get it at low bid because they're going to have some serious concerns. So finally the door has been opened for someone to do the job correctly. And so, we lost the fence bid for Benbrook, Robert. You remember that? One guy, his timeline was when I get done. And boy almighty, it caused a lot of car wrecks on this busy highway ran by TxDOT, because everyone's like, what is this guy doing? And they wish they would have gone. I don't know if we would have received the work, but they wish they would have gone with the best value option to get people in and out for a safety standpoint.
Right.
Yep. And
go ahead.
So next time, now they know for the next time, right?
Yeah. Hey, we need to, we've Zach, you should be in charge of this. We've been talking to Michael without referring to him as Captain Michael.
Oh, right. Now addressing Captain Michael.
Yes. Hold on.
I'll just announce him every time he speaks.
Oh, I hope he comes back.
I was listening to him talk, and I was like, we did the work. Have you ever had this? No, he's putting on his captain hat.
That's what I was going to say. I hope he comes back with the captain hat. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So
how'd Robert know?
Yeah. So anyways, I just was listening to you talking. I was like, man, they went through the work to give you your credentials. We apologize, Captain Mike.
Yeah.
So
all right.
So Robert, I would suggest that as you're venturing in this commercial world, don't forget that there's car lots down the street that need fence too, right? So not everything that happens, we kind of, I told you earlier, we're very compartmentalized, right? And so we even have that compartmentalized where we have like a business to business commercial department. And then we call it super commercial. It was kind of a joke and it just stuck, but that's like what we do for general contractors. And so those are kind of like two separate divisions of our company. And we need the business to business division, right? We do a lot of that. We've been around here forever and we've done it forever. So a lot of it is repeat business, but man, you get like, I mentioned earlier doing repairs and doing things like that. And margins are pretty good on that stuff. So,
yeah, and for some of these, it's a big shipping and warehouse town. And so to basically be their on-call fence maintenance company, not with a contract in hand, but a lot of people have come to rely on us for expedient fence repair. And there's a lot of break-ins and mostly break-ins and theft and that kind of stuff going on. So for us to be just kind of available. But you mentioned the property maintenance companies, Captain Michael, and
Yeah.
I didn't actually want to say anything. I just wanted an opportunity to call you. No, but you did. But when I get like a request from them, a lot of times I kind of put that on the back burner because a lot, there's weird percentage markups that sometimes that they throw in there, sneak that in there at the last minute, or some third party billing, or they don't really know. They don't know the customer's needs. They aren't prepared to provide you a lot of information about the project or a site contact. All that being said, difficult, but when you say like, this kind of consistent or mention cash flow, I'm like, oh, maybe I should be a little bit more proactive about those things.
Yeah. So just,
and
very specific on property management companies, kind of like y'all's industrial space that you guys are doing those repairs on. Is, there are quality property management companies that have gone through the process before that don't only need the residual maintenance. So you guys are talking about theft, cars, what have you. But the people who want to put capital projects in place so that their buildings can last longer. So their tenants, they can charge more, they can park there longer. But our focus would be, my recommendation for the business to business really here would be our HOA management. Like our brick walls are magnets for cars. It's unreal. I mean, they hit them all the time, but also in the state of Texas, with our HOAs, I'm not sure how it is there, is when they collect the funds, they have to do something with those after 3 years, or they have to return them. And then they have to do engineering assessments every 5. So normally that cash is being spent. And so you could build a pipeline from there. I'm sure it's similar, but yeah, we have a huge industrial sector just like you guys do. And those properties are massive. I mean, massive. And something's always going on.
That's why I mentioned it to you, because I know in Dallas, Fort Worth, like the business is there too. And so for a little bit more of an immediate return, instead of that whole, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months down the road, that might be something worth looking at.
No, I love that. And I think that's probably the fun thing to talk about is the big, 6 to 7 months. But you're right. And it always is good to hear to reground. If you were to ask me today, hey, Rob, what does a win look like? In reality, it's repairs. Let's say new fence. They're $20,000 to $40,000 contracts. Like I picked up on you, local GCs or working directly for the facility director. We want to try and stay in the space that we're familiar with, chain link or ironwood. Chance of Apex Fences getting into some absolute wicked projects. We have no desire to tackle that. He has got an absolute nervous steel. It's impressive. And we don't want to get into turnstiles like we and Shane were talking about. Even though that stuff, we want to be really good first at the stuff we're good at, because we have a reputation, we have cash on hand that we don't want to deplete and then hurt our core business. And so I love that reminder. And we do want to be a solution. I love that y'all talk about repairs too, because although they're not as sexy, we can absolutely deploy really fast. That is probably the number one thing. If you're asked hey, what makes you different other than all the other fun customer service? We're fast. We are literally calling utility locates in before we go on a quote. That's how fast we are, because we're going to be there. If you say yes, we'll be there next day. And they're like, how can you move so fast? I was like, well, we don't have a people problem.
Yeah.
And so, or a procurement problem, because we warehouse. So I love that. That's absolutely where we want to start. Michael and I have talked about starting at the Taco Bells and just, small sites first. We do not need the Amazons yet. Don't get me wrong. If you're listening, Amazon, we'd love to bid your facility.
Don't worry. If they don't, you can call us. We'll take care of you.
Yeah. So I appreciate that affirmation and reaffirming that that's a good strategy.
What's y'all's heartbeat about guardrails?
So my grandfather helped start a guardrail company, used to own a part of a guardrail company way back when. And the other people involved, they bought them out, or, I don't really know the business side of it, but I know there was involvement in a guardrail company back years ago and just kind of got out of it. And I've not really looked at guardrail. We've not touched it since then. We did install a little bit of the new cable barrier that's going in the updates. So we installed it back when it first really started coming out and was kind of a thing, and made pretty decent money on it back then. And what happened was a lot more people got involved and everybody was just trying to race to the bottom. And I mean, there's people that have figured out how to do it super efficiently. And I mean, they're still doing it, I assume, making money at it, but it just didn't work for us anymore. So,
I got another question for you to pick your brain.
Yes, Captain Mike.
Captain Mike. One of the things that are attractive to me that I've always really tried to put in front of Robert is the management of the card readers to get into, say, HOA pools, apartment pools, call them RFDs, right? So I know a lot of my property management companies, I would see their budget and they would say, $3,500 a month for management of card readers at pool. And I'm like, man, that's pretty reoccurring revenue. And everyone lets them gate slam really fast, and then they always break, right? Robert,
Texas moving in for card readers now to Texas.
Yeah. Do you guys do any of that? Since access control management on a monthly contract, or are you guys just doing repairs?
So we'll do installs of access controls and replace old stuff and kind of that type of business, but I don't know of any ongoing maintenance type thing that we've ever done or ongoing management. And I don't know, we try to give people a system that would be something that you just go onto your computer and you can manage yourself. Like we have a system here from Dorking, I think, and it's fairly easy. You just go on and put in a number for like a key fob or a card or whatever, and it will add or remove access. And so that's kind of the approach we normally take. But
right. And otherwise, if they're using an existing access system, we just suggest they defer to their current company and then basically install the hardware only.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But that's a good idea, though.
Yeah. I'm really curious about that. $3,500 a month to manage it. Yeah.
Yeah. We
find out about that.
Well, this HOA in particular had 1,500 homes, and
right.
There's a lot of lost cards, a lot of sold homes, new homes. And so the management company itself didn't want to be responsible for the liability of someone moving, right? Or
that's a good point. If it's an HOA, someone has to do it.
Right.
They probably don't have someone on their board that's going to do that.
No,
somebody.
And it's too much for the actual management company itself. And not to mention, like we talked about the markup, most property management companies make money the minute that they invoice for your services. So they're very excited to invoice for your services down here at least.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that would be applicable to some of the manufacturing facilities that we work on,
and
offering that service, because they're not doing that in-house either. They're just paying somebody a monthly fee.
Yeah.
And I think one of the attractive things about that, and we haven't cracked that code yet, but talking about Michael's exit and everything like that, you can increase your multiplier if you have reoccurring revenue and contracts. And this being a business talk show, that we're all here to figure out. Most people have an exit strategy of some sort, whether it be to hand it down to somebody else, share it with their employees to some capacity, maybe mailbox money, but most of us crazy entrepreneurs can't keep our hands out of it long enough, or eventually sell it. And so if you want to really consider a higher multiplier on EBITDA, then you really need to consider maybe these long-term contracts, reoccurring revenue, even if they're not huge grabs. People like that cash flow and stability, banks particularly. So it's something we're interested in, but I wouldn't say that we're slower to make decisions, but as we've gone bigger, we definitely want to make the right decisions because we're proud of the team we have. We don't want them to face adversity too often because they did that already. And so we want to live a pretty vanilla, maybe chocolate and vanilla life over here.
Right.
Hey, I know we've been stalling and trying to get. Are we the only people on? I see JC Gray. I was expecting comments just flying across.
Man, sometimes it happens like that, and sometimes it doesn't.
Right.
Dang, if we would have gotten Tony Thornton on here instead of Purple Coaching. No, I'm just kidding, Tony. You're a great dude. I can't. Me and him have done some shows together. We have a good time, man. Tony's good people. Good
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, we've had some people come and go, a few people watching the whole time, but it's Like I said, it's sometimes people are commenting, sometimes they're not. So.
Did we lose viewership after Captain Mike put his hat on, or gain? So I see Ryan. He's with Mallard Fence. He's
down the road from us.
Yeah. I have a hunting dog, and so Mallard Fence. I was like, hey, you must know where the birds are at.
Right.
The problem is he knows where the birds are at, and he has a hunting dog too, and nobody likes having multiple dogs. So
right. So he's not sharing.
Yeah, no, you can come shoot, but my dog's gonna go get it. And I'm like, no, I really just want my dog to work. So anyway.
So we're already a little bit past an hour. I'd like to talk about Purple Coaching a few minutes and kind of wrap up, if that's cool with you.
Yeah, perfect.
All right. So I've heard a lot of things about Purple Coaching, right? And I've heard a lot of positive things about it. And so I'd kind of just, I don't know, like to give you the opportunity to maybe just talk about like what's on the menu. What are you doing? What's your offering, right? I guess.
Yeah, no, for sure. So super excited to finally be able to tell everybody purplecoaching.com is live. Benji launched it. And he captured everything that I wanted. And so if you go on the website, you can navigate there and really see what we're all about. But we want to be another you in your business. You know, almost everybody we meet at some point, I just need another me. We are your me. And until we can grow more leaders. And most of the time, growing leaders is grabbing information from you and transferring it to somebody else in a way that they communicate. I think that too many times we're communicating around and over each other because we don't know, for lack of better words, their love language, right? And so my goal with Purple Coaching every day when we wake up is to give people the support that they need so they can make that next decision or move. And I want leaders to continue to push themselves and not give up on their dreams. But the only way we're going to reach is enough is with more people because our stomachs are relatively big as entrepreneurs. And so we've had some major wins. What's crazy is every major win I can think of has nothing to do with their business, has everything to do with their personal or family life. And what's cool about that is naturally it's because their business now is taken care of. Yeah. They're not operating in fear. Maybe not always in fear. Some people contact us because they want a second perspective, but almost every win I could rattle off has something to do outside of their business.
I mean, that's cool though. That's a big thing. I mean, if you go from, being glued to a desk all the time and never seeing your kids, and then you can get away and go hang out with them, I mean, that's definitely a big win.
Yeah. And then the flip side of that too is getting them excited to go back to work on Monday too, right? So like we want to put the fun back in it. And I know that like someone's like fun. I was like, yeah, like maybe a different kind of fun than we're familiar with, but we want you to get excited about anything you're doing. And so really cool wins there. Really cool. But we also want to send all the employees or team members home too and get to be able to be their best self at home too, because that's where we're going to get real traction. Yep. And so ultimately, goal is, of course, to scale the business healthy. So we want increased revenues, increased profits. We want people to be less scared of looking in their financials. I think a lot of people don't look at their financials because they either one, don't know how to read it, or two, don't want to read it. And making better decisions based off KPIs, goals, and then just having meeting rhythm and accountability. I was thinking about this the other day, and I'll let Michael chime in on kind of where he's impacting his. If you're the owner hosting the quarterly meeting, what are you getting? The meeting is for your entire team and you're part of the team. If you're working in your business, somebody should be hosting it and managing and preparing it so that way you can actually be getting something from it. And so that's what we do. We host the quarterly meeting so that way owners can be present with their team versus them spending all the time preparing for a meeting.
Yeah.
And so that's a lot of impact. Michael, you want to kind of?
Yeah, I'll kind of put a bow on it. So I've got an operator's mindset. So I like working on a lot of the tactical stuff. And so Dan, like you said, kind of the impact you have on your family, being able to get off the desk and actually go home. I told one of my guys he's having a terrible day and he thought, the world was burning down. I said, man, go home. Stop. Just go home. It'll be here tomorrow. Nothing will change. It'll be all right. And you'll be clear head. And he went home and he got to enjoy his family. And I just having that battle buddy, through that that terrible day that, you know, we've all had. He didn't feel alone on that island. So what I like to do is I like to really, because one of the reasons why I sold was I just didn't, I couldn't see clear anymore. And I just wanted out. And now I wish I could go back in it, but we're all on this island and we all think we're alone, but we're just on other sides of the island. So at Purple Coaching, what I feel like I help do is I put us together, you know, to where we're not feeling so lonely so that we can actually get that distraction out of the way. I've had guys tell me, oh, I've got bad luck. I'm like, no, man, these are normal problems. These are things that are just going to occur. That's okay. And so my focus is on 2 million and below. I really like hanging out with those guys. I can handle more than that. I was running an $8 million company, very comfortable there, but I really love giving support to 2 million and below. I think there's a lot of things we can just bang out, get done with it, and then work on strategy, long-term stuff as well. So,
yeah. So one of the things we try to do with this show kind of goes along with what you're saying. A few weeks ago, we had an episode and it was just called "We're Struggling With You." And we basically just sat here and we told like the things that had been going wrong. Right. And we're like, yeah, we screwed this up. This is sucking for us. Like, this is a problem. And so the point and like the objective for that was exactly what you said, Captain Mike, was to just say like, you're not alone. Right. This is just what people go through sometimes. And I mean, no matter what you're going through in your business, there's probably somebody else out there that either is or has gone through the exact same thing. And I mean, we all do it. So I like that. That's cool.
Yeah, for sure, man. And my biggest thing, I guess, with my guys, if their wives are not involved in the business, is make sure we don't take too much home to our wives, or if it's a woman-owned business. I haven't worked with them yet, but taking it home and displacing it in the wrong space and making people really frustrated. Robert pointed this out. My kids didn't want to take over the business because I brought it home with me every day, and they're like, "Why would I sign up for that?"
Yeah,
you know, and I didn't realize how much I actually enjoyed my business till I left it with. So it's really, really nice being able to see it from this view. I'm glad I went through the whole transaction. Dan, you had kind of the opposite, you know, you bought, right? So we have two different kind of experiences. Your struggles of purchasing, getting dropped into the meat grinder while I was getting extracted, and I'm driving by my business and I'm like, my baby, my child is out in the world, and I turned off Life 360 and I can't watch it every second. But the reality is this, and let me wrap up my thoughts on selling business. I thought my business was going to die the minute that I left. And so I worked and worked and worked and worked. Well, I sold, and guess what? The company is still moving 13 months later. So it doesn't have to always happen the minute that you think it's going to happen. And so at Purple Coaching, we really like to also set some of them bumpers and say, what's your strategy? Why does that have to be solved right now?
Right.
It slows people down to either make that problem smaller or react correctly so you can enjoy it all. I mean, Dan, you've been doing this a long time, man. You know, you wake up and you're like doom and gloom mode, and then you're like, look back 5 years later, you're like, those problems were silly.
Right. What problems? I can't even remember what they were, you know?
Yeah. Like, what?
Yeah.
And so that's what's been exciting for me. And I like I said, I really like hanging out in the 2 million and under, because I think there's a lot of work to get done there.
Yeah.
So
is that like, does Purple have like a niche of that like 2 million kind of neighborhood, or?
No, so it definitely requires a lot of touches, 2 million below, because in reality, things are moving faster. They can't wait 2 weeks to address, unlike, you know, because cash flow, or maybe it's a hiring. Hey, we only have one person, we need to hire a second person. I'm probably staying in the 2 to 8 million, 2 to 10 million, right? Where we're getting to look at more long-term strategy. But we'll pull each other in. Like if I'm working on a tough tactical issue with like, you know, and we're talking revenue, but at the end of the day, all we really care about is profits, right? But assuming that we're taking 16 to 18% of the bottom line, right? You know, so we'll cross pollinate there. I'll prepare some of his quarterly meetings so we don't get too into the weeds with tacticals. So I'd say like, you got to have enough reps. So you got to be about $500,000 or on track for $500,000. because if you don't have enough reps, then we don't have enough practice, the new things. So, and then somewhere between when you're building out your final executive team where you're relinquishing big roles, so getting C-suite level stuff is where we would stop. From there, our program typically runs anywhere from 12 to 18 months. And by the time we get there, you already need to go through it again because you're in a whole different world.
Right.
And so that's why when we brought on Michael, it was nice to be able to separate the I call them accelerators. People are trying to really grow while some people are trying to stabilize and regroup or go to that campsite, clean the pack and go back out.
Yeah.
So.
Well, good deal, man. I mean, it's getting on to be about 6:20 now. So I think
again, you want to drop your guys' website one more time for Purple Coaching?
Yeah, it's www.purplecoaching.com. So we'd love to chat with you, see if we can get you unstuck, whether we're just a friend call away or you want to do something long-term, we're here.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I really appreciate it. I could sit here and talk to you guys all night, but we probably should go home and try to see that family that we've been talking about, you know?
That's right. Captain, television stars, the both of you, twins.
Yeah.
What were the other first time? I mean, it's a pretty powerful episode. Just that alone. Just that alone, you know?
Yeah.
So, well, I appreciate it, guys. I'd love to have you back sometime and kind of dive a little bit deeper into some of this stuff and see what else we could figure out here. But yeah, thanks for coming on. I love the captain hat. That's really awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Really do. So thanks, y'all.
Cool. Thanks for being on. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Y'all have a good night. Looking forward to another episode of PowerHouse coming up soon.
See ya.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.